It's called Smut. Give me smut and nothing but a dirty novel I can't shut if it's uncut and unsut.
I bonded because I talked about my celery poster.
Yeah.
Which I
Celery poster?
So I have a poster.
Tell Will about this.
I have a
Do
poster
tell.
that says I believe in celery. It is a
And
cartoon.
it's got a cartoon of celery going like, hey!
And it has cartoon eyes, and that's like it. And it's in this like, it's a 12 by 12. It's like small.
mid-jump.
Okay.
Yeah. So
All
and
right.
it has like a little star on it. The lettering doesn't quite match up, but it's in cursive. But there's parts where it's like jagged. It's super janky. And I
Amazing.
bought this unknowingly. Sorry, let me say this. Drunk Emily bought this.
Sure.
When I was in college, and I was pre-gaming a midnight picnic, as you do in college, with one of my best friends, Callie. Shout out to Callie. And she and I were watching Boy Meets World, and we each had like a bottle or two of Prosecco. Like we were going hard.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's like one episode where Corey, the main character, leans up against a poster, and it just is a poster of celery, like a picture of celery. And at the bottom it just says celery. And he goes, I don't know, there's just nothing that like sets me apart from other people. Like there's just nothing that like makes me me. And it's just like the weirdest joke.
Yeah.
I thought that was hilarious. Cut to 3 days later when I get a small tube in the mail. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? And I open it up and I was like, how? Because if you ever, I will show you a picture after this recording of that. It's literally
I need
a
to
full-on
see it.
poster. And it's a celery stalk, and it just says celery.
I believe in celery.
And then, so my drunk brain was like, okay, poster size 12 by 12 must be it. Check. Yeah, this must be it. Like, this is the closest thing I could find. So it's
a cartoon of
it's
celery.
a cartoon celery
it's like
picture.
front and center in Emily's bedroom.
It's so
just
well
on the photo wall.
That
It exists.
is jankier than I thought it was going to
It's-
be.
it's
the most amazing thing
really
you've ever
is-
seen, right?
I mean, look at the eyes. Look at the star.
It's slightly off
It's
center.
Slightly off
Fully
center.
was made in Microsoft like Word.
100%.
Absolutely. Like that is clip art.
But you know what's even better? The sequel to this is that years later, I think it was either last year or 2 years on my birthday, Callie, who lives in New York now, sent me a mug. And it says, I believe in bagels. Same font, same cartoon
Wow.
with a star.
That store is still in business. Whoever that person
Whoever
is.
that person
the I
is
believe
amazing.
person.
And I am fully
thriving.
supporting them, and I wish they are in business forever and ever.
We've got to see if we can find them and put them as a link when we post this episode.
100%.
I know
Oh,
I'm
for
digging
sure.
myself a hole, but
you're gonna do it.
I'm
gonna look for it.
What?
But a lot of my mugs come from people. I've bought maybe 2 of my own mugs.
Oh, yeah.
Everything else has been bought for me, and I cherish them.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever bought a mug for myself.
No.
The people that have matching mugs, like from Target or whatever, I don't get it.
I have a bunch of matching mugs, but it's because they were my grandfather's like
See, that's
mugs at
cool.
his business,
Yeah.
so they all have his logo on it.
Nice.
And so when he retired, he was
I
like,
love that.
Do you want
I've
all
got,
these
I've got a box full of mugs.
I had a set of they matched my plates and everything.
Oh, yeah.
And I got rid of them because I never used them. Because I was like, I want to use my mug that has Margaret Thatcher on it.
Yeah.
Right,
Because
right.
it makes me smile. Or my Ruth Bader Ginsburg riding a unicorn mug.
Or
Like,
mine that says like Murderino, or like tits with a moose with some glasses.
Yeah.
These are the mugs
Yeah.
I have.
Love that. Love that for you.
What's your, hey, you know, here's a podcast thought. What's your favorite mug? Go. Today. You can have different mugs for different days, but today, what was your favorite mug you have?
I've got a Troy and Abed in the morning mug.
That's a good
actually, I think I've
one.
seen you with that, or like a picture of it, and
Oh.
I think every time I'm like, oh my god, it's like
It-
a big one, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
It's I use
Hefty.
it for my teas on Monday mornings because I need that caffeine in the morning. And
I love that mug. That's
Yeah,
a good choice.
that's good.
Love that.
thank you.
Mine is my Margaret Thatcher mug because I saw it at like Value Village or whatever. And at first I just saw Margaret Thatcher's face and Daily Mail underneath it. But then on the other side it says defeat. I do not know the meaning of the word Margaret Thatcher.
Amazing.
And it just is so... I love to think about the journey that this mug went on.
Right.
And that someone probably brought it over from the UK. Like, I can't imagine there's a huge Daily Mail
Right, there's
Margaret
no
Thatcher
market for that,
here.
absolutely.
I don't know. You never know.
Um,
People can buy shit and then they die and then their grandchildren give it away. So
And then also the juxtaposition between her like
actually what happened,
smiling Margaret Thatcher headshot, and then the most intense thing you've ever
Yeah.
read
Right.
on
there
the
is no
other side of it.
defeat. Only Zool.
I do not know the meaning of the word.
I think I was gonna say I have one that I love very much, but I did break
If you
it
don't
recently.
pick one of the ones I bought you, I'm gonna.
The one today that I love the most is the Medusa mug that Jessica did get me, and it says "Don't look at me," and it
Nice,
has
that's
Medusa's face on it, and I truly love it. And it's a
Yeah.
double. It's like a tall one, not like a normal size
Oh,
cup.
yeah,
so it's
yeah.
like for those mornings where I really need stuff.
For sure.
Need a double shot of
yeah.
stuff.
Speaking of double shots, welcome to Femmes Reading Filth.
Welcome to Friends Reading Filth.
Hey.
I'm Jazz.
I'm Emily.
And I'm Will. Was that a DP joke? Double shot? No.
No, it wasn't.
What's DP?
But you double penetration.
Again? Again? She walked right into it.
I'm never gonna understand double. I'm never gonna understand it. I'm just never gonna get it.
Do you need me to help
No,
you
I know.
explain?
Sorry, I understand it. I'm never
Right,
gonna
like-
get a reference to it in the wild
Got it.
because
Okay.
it's so foreign to me.
It doesn't make any sense.
It has to be a trained, housebroken DP. I can't in the wild.
Oh, you don't get full credit for
Yeah.
that.
Get that off your sexual resume.
Oh,
What did I say? What did I say?
I don't know. It just
It's
you
a-
can't
it's-
just you.
You can't. You say that and
You
then go
gotta.
cut.
We gotta
I've actually asked you this question before.
about my sexual resume.
Yeah, I
like
say-
if I have one.
I read a book once where they were like, "You're so good at blowjobs, you got to put that on your resume." Like it was like something. It was like it was witty like that.
Right.
I'm paraphrasing.
It's a joke.
But then I asked everyone, I go, what's the thing that you feel
Oh.
most confident with that you would put on your quote unquote sexual resume? And a lot of my friends said blowjobs. I did not. I
Oh?
do not feel confident in my skills enough to list that as my top skill.
What would you pick?
I said, I did have one friend that was like, I'm really good at massages. I had another friend who was like,
Okay.
what was the other friend? There was another like weird one, but I can't remember it now. But I said, I'm really good at dirty talk. I'm really good at like getting like escalating the mood, escalating
Yeah.
the tension. And then
Oh, this is gonna be a loose one, you guys. I could tell
I'm so
already.
excited.
I think mine is still blowjob. Will, what's your sexual resume? What would you,
You
like-
don't
I
have to.
mean,
We
no,
can cut
no,
this.
no.
Okay.
Listen,
What would you open with?
I think I'd have to put cunnilingus.
Congratulations.
That's good. Hey,
it's a
yeah,
good
that's good.
time.
That's really gonna get you places, and that's not a joke. That's a real
I am.
thing.
I enjoy it, and then that just makes it a good experience all around.
Yeah.
Jizka, see what I did there? What's on your sexual resume?
I said blowjobs.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I
We've all
apologize.
answered the question.
We've
though.
all answered the
I
question.
want a no. What's your second skill? We don't have time for that.
I
We don't have
majored
time
in
for
cunnilingus.
Cunning linguist. The most cunning
I always
linguist.
Cunning
trying to make
linguist.
it cunning linguist. And
I love
Did
that
you-
the SNL skit. Colonel Angus.
Colonel Angus. Yeah.
I love Colonel Angus.
It's so good.
Anyway, do you want to talk about bets and wagers? Because I hear you
do.
did research.
And that research is called Google. So I just wanted a nice clean definition of what a bet episode or a bet trope is what I should say. So
I did write this down myself as well.
It's when a character is bet that they won't / can't win over / date / sex up. This is from Google. A certain character. The first person inevitably falls in love or develops feelings for that second character. The second character inevitably gets pissed. And then there is usually some sort of resolution. So that's like the scientific term. Movie examples of this, if you still don't understand what it is, She's All That, starring Freddie Prinze Jr. and Rachel E. Cook, My Fair Lady, Cruel Intentions. If you haven't seen that, go watch it. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days is a bet trope. Non-romantic ones would include Trading Places, starring Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd.
Interesting.
And Rat Race is a bet episode.
yeah.
Or
Yeah.
bet trope. So those are the...
And the famous Seinfeld episode, too.
well, right.
That's
yeah.
that's masturbating though.
Yeah.
Okay, I have not
Is
seen
it
it.
not-
That's why.
Does that
Oh,
not factor
we
into
should-
the trope?
We
No,
should
it does.
totally
I
watch
just
that.
haven't. I didn't know for my own
okay.
edification.
We should totally watch that episode because
Okay.
it's a classic and it's really. If I could talk about Seinfeld for a second,
Yeah, go ahead.
They weren't, because of censorship. They were on NBC, so they weren't allowed to actually talk about sex. So it's all completely through innuendo and
Is
that.
it the E&O?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I was spending a lot of time alone. And they're like, but
Right.
it's very, I love it because you're like watching them like go on a tightrope and like
Yeah.
pull some shit off that you're like, ooh, they snuck this in. They were able to get away with it, and it makes me so happy. Yep.
So that's that. Will, do you have any expectations of this episode? Like when you assigned bet, like what did you think?
I'm here.
What do you
for
want from
the messy drama of this. I feel like the bets. There's an element of it that is just immature in itself.
Yeah.
So the people doing it are going to be behaving immaturely in a way that is going to be like hot goss, and I love that.
Yeah.
I also like because of the way it's set up. Like one person's like there's no way this will ever happen, and it almost becomes enemies to lovers a
very
little
much
bit.
so.
You know what I mean?
Because there's like a big fight that happens inevitably.
Right, for sure. Like, there's always an element of that. So there's that angst. And then there's also the, like, one person, they're like, oh, this is just, like, a fun bet. Like, it's not serious. It's like, oh, fuck, it's serious.
Yeah.
I love all that
feelings.
Shit,
shit.
it happened. It happened.
I
Yeah.
was doing this, but now I have feelings about it.
You know, it's the melodrama of it. I want the melodrama.
It always
Yeah.
makes me angry in a lot of these because I love a bet trope. I really do. I
too.
didn't realize how many I've read before. But it always makes me angry when it's both characters like denying their own feelings. And I'm like, I need one of you.
I need one of you to be
Yeah.
into it.
To be into
and that
it.
to be part of the bet.
Yes.
Yeah.
And or I need one of you to be like like in mine, it's very much both of like, well we said so like they can't. It's a lot of that. It's a lot of never any words.
Right.
Only just
Just
sounds,
feelings. Just
which
sounds
is,
and feelings.
Yeah, which is what I would do in real life probably.
Yeah.
But whatever. So, oh my god, that guy texted me. Anyways.
Do you want to get into it?
Hey,
No.
congratulations.
Yeah, let's get thank you, Will. Let's hope
think-
I get a cunnilinguist.
I think it's my. I think I go first this time.
No, I think you went first in Amish.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 'cause God is good.
Yep. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
God is
Because
good.
God is good.
All right, your turn.
The Lord is my shepherd.
Father who art in heaven.
Okay,
I'm so happy that made such an impact on everybody.
it's gonna stick with me forever.
Great.
Okay, so fun fact, texted both Jessica and Will. I think like 2 days after this was assigned, I found this book and I started reading it, and I think I texted both of you being like, I love this. Like it made me
Yeah.
blush. I love this. And there was a lot to choose from, and I have read a bunch. I did want to find something that I had never seen before. Like I've literally seen the book I Bet You by Ilsa Madden Mills like a lot, like on Book Talk, on Amazon. I think I actually read it, but would have been
wanted
last
something-
year.
you
I
wanted
want something
something
fresh
new.
and new.
Yeah.
So I picked "Bet Me to Stay" by Candace Havens. It came out July 8th, 2019, and I cannot find. It didn't say how many pages it was, but it was like a hefty. It was like a 300 pager.
a respectable.
Okay.
amount.
Yeah, it was like
yeah,
a
yeah.
respectable amount. I will say, I think this might rival the reverse harems episode for most sex scenes.
Ooh.
Wow.
It
In
clocks-
300 pages?
Yeah.
It clocks in at 7.
That's a
Wow.
good beach read.
I mean, actually, there's like two. There's like one more, but I'm not going to say the ending of this one because.
Oh, okay. All right. Ooh, first cliffhanger of the season.
I'm not saying the end of mine either.
Wow. See, I'm excited now.
Okay, so we start out with in the bar called the Boar's Head in Boston. It is an Irish, very cozy Irish pub, like very traditional Irish pub. There are pictures on the walls. It's something that you would walk into here, but even more so because it's in Boston.
Yeah.
And the
Right.
two people that own it are brothers Finn and Liam, and they are half
Nice.
Irish, half American, and they have a lilt to their accent,
Oh.
which automatically it made me plots. But so Finn, the younger brother, comes into the bar and he's late for his shift. Liam, the older brother, a little grumpy, a little curmudgeon, is like, "Come on, man!" And Finn's like, "Dude, I'm in love." And he's like, "This is like the 4th time in a month that you've been in love." And he goes into a monologue. This is a dual POV, I should say.
Is the accent written out phonetically? Or does it just tell you?
No, but
Okay.
he'll say love, or he'll say lass,
Oh, okay.
like my darling lass, or like
Okay.
something
So
like that.
he'll sprinkle in some words.
There are the
Got it.
words in there, and I think there's probably a lilt on some of the words, but it's not spelled such.
Got it. Okay.
So just imagine it as it
Certainly,
comes
certainly.
out.
I was just curious.
Got it. Got it.
I cannot do an Irish accent, but if I could, I would. Or I cannot. Let me say, I cannot keep an Irish accent. I cannot maintain one. So
Sure.
he is saying that he wants to marry his latest girlfriend. Liam is rolling his eyes. This is like the 3rd or 4th time this month he said that, because also
Finn.
his brother Finn is the front man of the bar. He is the bartender. Liam is the back of house guy.
No one ever notices back of house guy.
Well, he likes it that way. He doesn't really want to talk to anyone, especially because he has a broken engagement.
Oh.
Yes, his girlfriend left him. his fiance, I should say,
How long
left
ago?
him. A couple of years at this point.
He's still not
but
over it?
he just has not wanted to go into a relationship since.
You know what? I can
He's
respect
slept.
that. I can respect
Yeah,
that.
he's slept with some people. He's gotten his, but he just is not ready to open his heart back up again.
Sure.
So Liam and Finn co-own this bar. We learned that Liam used to actually be a singer, and he was touring, not like full-on famous touring, but he had like a top 100 hit.
Okay.
And he had to give it up because his dad had a heart attack and passed away.
Oh my God.
And him and his brother now co-own the bar, and it's been in the family for like 100 years at this point. So
Right.
he wants to keep
Right.
it. He's like, honestly, this is more important to me. I really miss singing. He has not sang since he gave it up though, but it's a whole thing.
Okay.
Wow.
But because they co-own the bar, Liam is worried that if Finn ever gets to a point where he's gonna marry some girl, he's going to get divorced and lose part of the bar to this
Ooh.
divorced person. So
Wow.
he keeps
Presumptuous.
Jeez.
it's very well. It's almost happened. Like apparently Finn almost proposed to somebody, and then it was like after a month, though. So he's
All right.
trying to get So Finn's very like la la la, and Liam's
Yeah.
like no. So
Bro.
so Liam is currently in
Yeah.
the process of talking to lawyers to design like a prenup clause in whoever takes shares of the bar, basically.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
if Finn were to ever get married, this would not happen. Also, we learned about the bar across the street called the Rustic Pig, which is also an Irish bar, but it is booming. It is a lot more like high-end clientele,
Fuck them.
a lot
Little
more like
hipstery.
a lot more place to be seen, whereas Boar's Head is more traditional. So during this night, we're learning all of this. Liam bets Finn that he can't go 1 month without a date or sex because Finn is just constantly talking about the girlfriend he likes. He's constantly flirting with the girls at the bar, and
And Liam's like, I need a break.
yeah, and he's like, honestly,
so tired.
He's like, it'll give me if he goes 1 month without sex. By that time, the prenup thing will be written up, and I won't have to worry about this anymore.
Yeah.
Think how much
Finn.
sleep I'll get when I'm not being a damp towel all the time.
Finn says okay, but he bets Liam that he has
Ooh.
to date the very next single woman that walks through the bar.
Love it.
There
He
it is.
says
It's
Liam
got
needs
2 bets.
Double
It has
bet.
2 bets.
Double bet.
He says Liam needs to lighten up, and sex or a girlfriend would do that. So now we switch to Cassie O'Brien.
Who doesn't realize what she's about to walk into?
Well, so Cassie is a romance writer. Her best friend, Tansy, is her agent, and she is. Which, by the way, how do you feel about the name Tansy, Jessica?
I hate it.
But Cassie, Liam, and Finn are actually pretty.
There's
normal.
always one name
There's
though
always
that
one.
is
Yeah.
insane.
Well, I'm curious just because this does feel like a bit of a self-insert. I'm curious if it's like
I didn't
based
mean
on
to.
a real person's name.
Oh,
And
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
like what's the author's name again?
Candace Havens.
Cassie.
Candace,
Candace.
Tansy, Kansas.
Guys, we have to find.
Kansas.
It was Kansas, named after the place they were
Tansy,
conceived.
Kansas makes it all make sense.
Arkansas.
It
Can't
goes
do that.
hand in
Hey, shout out to home state of Arkansas. That's the right way you have to say it legally.
Again, this
Okay.
is a loose episode. So Cassie's editor, Tansy, hates her new pages. Cassie writes sweet romances and was challenged to do an erotic novel. The publishers really want it. It's what's selling right now. But Cassie is very shy and actually inexperienced. She's not a virgin, but she's just inexperienced. So her family, she starts to head home towards the Rustic Pig, which is the bar that her family owns. She does not want to interact with her family. They're very overbearing. They mean well, but they really tend to hurt her feelings. She's kind of a bigger girl. They don't even know that she writes romances. They think she writes for catalogs. It's like a whole thing. So she's like, you know what? I'm going to go into this bar, the Boar's Head, which I've never been into before.
Right, because you're a jet, not a shark.
So she walks in and immediately is like, this pub is incredible. It's so pretty. It's like there's wooden interiors. The booths are cozy. There's nooks, there's like, it just has that really great feeling. And she goes to the bar. She looks at the bar. It's this humongous piece of like oak. It's like a 10-foot long thing.
classic.
It's very classic. And
Reject
she's like,
modernity.
Yeah.
go
It's
traditional.
not working out so far.
Yes, and so and she's like just in the moment, and Finn comes up to her, and again he's very like charismatic, very
Right,
like da da da.
right.
He's like, "Hi, love. Like, what do you want?" I'm sorry. "Hi, love. What do you want to drink?" And she's like,
No,
"Oh."
God, do it. Do the accents. It's fun.
"Hello, love. No. What do you want to drink?" No. And I can't.
All right,
even
why?
do-
The first time you did it was like much more natural.
You put the pressure on, and
because
now
I
she can't
also
perform.
can't do a boss. It's Boston and
Boston.
English and Irish. So it's
Oh yeah, that is.
I'm also, we'll talk about accents later.
Yeah.
So, and she's very, not put off, but she's like, oh, this guy is such a flirt. And she's just in her own thoughts. She's just staring at Finn. She's not even talking. Liam comes up and he's like, I'm sorry, what would you like to drink? And she looks at Liam and automatically she's like, panties are wet. Like, this man
Oh,
is
that's going to work out
gorgeous.
well for Liam's bet.
Yeah.
And and then she looks down. She realizes she is wearing her sweatpants, an oversized sweater, boots, and huge glasses. From Liam's perspective, we hear that she looks like she would own 10 cats. So that's the it's the trope. Come on,
You know
it's the
what?
thing.
It's true. It's fair.
So they start. He puts down a weak gin and tonic in front of her because he thinks that that's what she would want. She's like, "Can I get Jameson neat?" And he's like, "Okay." And so he does that.
She's not like other girls.
But your cover.
So they start talking, and he ends up asking her out. And I said, she acts like an idiot, parentheses, very me, because she's like, huh? Me? You? And I'm like, that's an Emily moment right there. And she asks if he expects sex on the first date. And she says she's not looking for a relationship. He says same. And then she goes, and she's just like, she's thinking about what her editor said. Her editor basically with Kansas, Arkansas, was like, dude, you just gotta go like fuck someone, bang someone, get some experience, just like get something to write about.
Yeah.
And that's on her mind right now. And so she's like, hey, do you expect sex on the first date? He's like, no, but I don't want to date. And she's like, no, neither. And he's like, but I find you really, really interesting, because they have spoken. And he's like, this girl is cool and weird. And she goes, do you dirty talk? Do you spank? And he's like, okay, yeah. Because he was like, do you want to go get waffles? And then she says all this, and he goes, okay, well, so we're not going to get waffles. So it turns out.
Is that not what you meant by waffles?
Right.
It turns out he lives right upstairs, so he takes her upstairs to the apartment.
Wow.
And they start making out, because it was very like much a transactional, like, do you want to go have sex? And he's like, yes.
Honestly,
Okay.
respect. Yeah,
I also
absolutely.
very much respect.
Consenting adults have
Yes,
needs, and
yes.
as long as they can all meet them.
I love a good,
respectfully.
clear conversation.
And there's a bet.
And there's a bet. So she's a little thicker, but
She
not
does not
fat.
know about the bet.
No, she does not.
Okay. Key.
And he does not know that she is a writer.
Got it.
So, but she has made it clear that she's like, I just want sex.
And I'm assuming the rules of the bet are you can't tell anyone about the bet.
That wasn't said, but it's
Okay.
implied. Like, who
Yeah, I
would
mean, that's
want to?
usually
Yeah,
the way
yeah.
bet episodes go.
Correct. So he goes,
Episodes.
yeah, he's like very transactional, and he's like, so bad up against the wall, and she's like, there's no way, I'm too heavy. And he says, I could fuck you for days against this wall and not ever notice your weight.
Ooh, yes.
And that's sex scene number 1, in which I titled, I'd fuck you against this wall for days and never notice your weight.
God.
So instead of getting waffles, he took her upstairs for flapjacks.
For some apple smacks, if you will. It was, but I just love that line. I was just like,
That's a
that
good
is
line.
a very sexy, like, men take note. That's a very sexy
very
line.
sexy line.
If
Yeah,
you're
for
ever
sure.
with a woman who is worried about her weight, which you shouldn't. Everyone's beautiful. Okay, so afterwards, then they have it's like amazing. It's against the wall. She's like,
Yeah.
this was incredible. She starts to get dressed, thinking that he's just going to be like, okay, I got to get back downstairs. And he's like, if you're just going to use me for sex, then let me give you the full experience, which leads to number 2. Called giving you the full experience.
Wow.
I was not, again, I was
Wow.
so taken aback. This was like 28% of the way into the Kindle Unlimited. So I was like, what is happening?
Great.
You know, I'm not surprised.
What?
Liam's short for William. Well done, sir. You're doing the name proud.
So they then go to the bed. They have a lot more sex, and they end up cuddling for a bit, and then they end up going 2 more times, and then he passes out, and she sneaks out and Ubers home.
Yeah.
So the next day, Liam is thinking about her all day, and during the cuddling, she did mention that she does write books.
Okay.
So and the name that she gave him, her pen name,
Got it.
Got
which
it.
is not O'Brien. It's a different
Oh,
surname.
So he doesn't know. That
He doesn't
she's
know that
part
they
of the
the rustic-
Montagues.
the-
Ugh.
So he actually ends up downloading one of her books and reading it at work all day. And he comes out at dinner. He's been in the back all day. He's making the stew. He's making the stew that his grandmother made and passed down from generations.
You did it.
There it is.
You did it.
There it was.
I got to surprise you with
Good
it.
Yeah,
job.
yeah.
Good job.
I got to surprise you with it. That's my terrible Boston. So she comes out and he sees Cassie at the table writing. And she's in this corner booth. And he's like, what the hell are you you doing here? I thought I was never going to see you again. And she's like, I really like this bar, and I was very inspired. And so he brings out his grandmother's stew, and together they both admit to loving the night before. And she says that she was so turned on by him that she didn't get the chance to go down on him. Which leads to number 3.
In the bar?
No, they end up going back upstairs, but it's...
Damn.
I said it was
I was like, under the table, hot.
Very hot.
Hot.
In a nook?
Yeah.
Yep.
I called it a fine time to 69. Because they end up 69. So afterwards,
Yep.
and again, every time they have a sexual experience together, it like blows both of their minds. It's like, this is amazing. So
Great for
he
them.
grabs a bunch of snacks from his fridge and takes them up to the roof where they feed each other and then they bang. And I called that one fairy lights and roof sex
Okay,
because
what are the snacks?
Okay,
you
so
know I have that.
I was going to entitle it one of the snacks, but it takes a minute to like talk about it. So she's like, where the fuck did you get all this food from? And he's like, I try out new snacks for the bar. And so this time it was cherry tomatoes stuffed with feta, and there was something else. I think I erased it, but like that was the main thing because I was like, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, like in like an olive oil. I'm picturing.
I was gonna go.
love that.
I was gonna call it stuff me with feta, but then I didn't. So
Next time,
That's all right.
do
next
it.
time, you know
Do
what?
it.
Thank you for that. Thank you for seeing me.
I'm here for you.
So they both agree that they have this crazy chemistry and that it hasn't been like this for anyone else that they've been with. And they decide to just kind of see where this goes and have a no pressure situation.
Yeah.
But as long as they're both having fun, they're going to do
Great.
this. So they exchange numbers. And a few days later, Cassie meets with Arkansas Tansy. and Tansy is thrilled with the new pages and wants to hear all about the sex that she's having. Cassie.
Okay, Tansy.
Okay. I don't know why
Can
thrilled
I
with
say-
the new pages really just makes me think of like an old school newspaper editor with a big cigar.
Yes, like the opening of the
You know-
new Little Women movie
Yeah,
where
yeah.
like he's reading her novel.
Do you know who
and-
I'm
yeah.
thinking of? Did you ever watch Frasier?
Very little.
Frasier has. Did you watch
Tossed
Frasier?
salads and
Scrambled
eggs.
It has scrambled eggs in it, correct?
Yes.
He has like a manager or an agent who is like cutthroat, and I think her name is like Bitsy or something. And she talks like this. She's like, "Hello, Frasier," and, and she's like, she has this like blunt '90s bob and wears like a power suit, and everyone hates her because she's the devil, but she's like a good agent.
Yeah.
That's who I imagine.
Yeah,
Tansy
that's
is.
Tansy, Arkansas. Is that, but with a southern accent also.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Except they're from Boston, but that's fine.
No,
So-
it's got to be
No,
with a name
no.
like that. It's got to be a
So-
southern accent.
Cassie is telling her friend that she's worried because she feels the need to tell Liam that her family owns the rustic pig, but she's tried to bring it up a few times now as it's been a few days later.
Sure.
And every time he like doesn't want to know. And he says, quote, "I only care if you're married, engaged, or on the run." So he's like, anything else doesn't matter.
Okay.
And,
All right,
and Tansy agrees.
Look, secrets are hot, but
Secrets are hot, but
this is also now.
Yes.
This is that sitcom.
it's a
of,
Montague
Like,
Capulet situation.
We're not going to communicate.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So Tansy
Okay.
agrees that she shouldn't tell him. And meanwhile, she needs to start thinking about a second book and maybe a rebrand because, at this point it's been 2 weeks since she started sleeping with Liam.
It's been
2 weeks that you slept with Lee. That
Good
worked
job.
out really
Good job.
well.
Yeah.
And
I'm just here to compliment you today.
you
what
know,
I'm gonna do.
this is why you're one of my best friends. So we'll step it up. Because the
wow.
publisher
All right. Woo.
because the publisher is loving the content. So Cassie goes to the rustic pig for a family dinner. Everyone is the worst. So they gather around in the kitchen of the rustic pig. It's like a big kind of Boston Irish family.
Yeah.
She has 3 sisters and she describes them all as very tall, skinny supermodels. She has an overbearing mother, a father who doesn't really say much, but he loves her. But it's like
Yeah.
she knows everyone loves her, but it's a lot. So at times it's like, hey, don't eat those potatoes. That's a lot of calories for you.
Ooh.
And
Boo.
they're all kind of ganging up on her inadvertently, and she says that she has a boyfriend, and they're all like, yeah, okay. And so she's like, I have to get the fuck out of here. And so she ends up leaving early, and she heads to the Boar's Head, and just being in the bar, which is across the street,
Sure.
and just being in the bar makes her feel better.
Because no one in her family would watch her.
No one would
No.
see her.
Nobody
do that.
would. Nobody would watch
They're
where she
having
went.
family
when she
dinner.
storms out.
Yeah, they're
Family
so
dinner.
busy in the back.
So Liam sees her and kisses her hello, and it surprises both of them because it was such an intimate moment. Like they thought they were just having sex. So
Aw, that's cute.
I like that.
She ends up staying till they close, and Liam looks over and she has just fallen asleep in the booth. And after closing, he takes her up to his bed where she sleepily says that he is her happy place.
Aww.
The next morning, he asks her on an actual date, and she says that she has a book club to go to. They're reading A Discovery of Witches, which I have read before. It was
Yeah,
okay.
it's
all right.
fine.
Yeah. So he asks to go with her, and he goes and he blows everyone away because he has read the book in one day, which is like it's not a small book.
Yeah, I mean,
It's like at least a 500 to 600.
I'd be
page one,
flattered
say.
as hell.
Yeah, and all her friends were like, "Holy shit, this man!"
Yeah.
I wrote all her friends are like, "Yas." Cassie is home the next morning, having snuck out of Liam's house from the night before when Liam texts her and says, "Am I going to have to tie you to the bed next time?"
Yes, Liam.
Then he
Woo.
asks her on a date, and they start talking about tying people up, and then they end up having phone sex, which I called number 5. Thank God for unlimited minutes.
Wow.
That night, he comes over and cooks for her while she says they can't sleep together because she's sore and she really has to work. And he's like, I just wanted to cook for you and spend time with you. They chat, they talk about their families, and then Liam leaves.
is really winning me over.
For real.
Yes.
Yeah.
Liam. Oh, and I never like really described him. I kind of described her. She has like kind of mousy brown hair, but she's
Yeah.
really pretty. He's like kind of taller, dark, like a dark Irish kind of thing.
Yeah.
He's muscular, a little older, like has some tattoos.
Okay.
Very much Emily's dream man. Oh, he ends up leaving due to a bar emergency. The next night, Cassie tries again to tell Liam that her family owns the rustic pig, but he changes the subject and he realizes that he cares about her a lot more and is scared of what she has to say. So that it's no longer like, I don't care. It's
He's
more like
avoiding it.
Yeah, he's avoiding
So
it.
he knows, like, her prefacing of this is enough for him to know that it's something
Yes.
big that's
Yeah.
going to upset him.
Yeah, or
And he
not even
doesn't-
upset. It's just like it'll change.
He
things.
knows that it's a big deal,
Yeah.
and he doesn't want to deal with it.
Yes.
He's like,
Okay.
we're in the honeymoon phase.
Yeah.
We're both just like, we're not dealing with reality right
No.
now. Don't end this. What
It's
are you
only been
doing?
3 weeks.
So he starts talking to like get her mind off of that. He starts talking about hard limits, and they plan on tying each other up. But first, he talks a bit about his music, and we learn more about his backstory with music. And then they try tying each other up and eating whipped cream. And then we don't even hear that one. We just hear how great it was because right after she comes out in like he's like fixing something in the kitchen. She comes out in the bed sheet and drops it, and he's like, "Here we go." So I call this one number 6, The Last Frontier, in which they try anal.
Wow.
Wow.
They are just taking
Wasn't she
leaps
sore
and bounds.
like the day before?
So
Well, that's why you gotta.
can I just say, every time they do something, by the way, she immediately goes home and writes about it. And this is like her inspiration. And this is what Tansy is reading. So
Ooh.
That's a little creepy.
Ooh.
So and
creepy.
she's told him up front. She's like, "Well, I've been using this as inspiration."
Oh, okay.
And he's
Okay.
like, "I'm
Well,
very flattered."
I mean, I was
Still
a
a little
little
creepy.
excited
Yes.
for like the
So-
betrayal
Drama.
trust. Like,
Yeah.
how could you?
Just wait.
Okay,
So he
good.
asks her to stay after the last frontier, and he feels inspired to write some songs for the first time in a long time.
Wow.
He cooks her carbonara. He remembered that it's her favorite. He's a very good cook.
That's where
So-
his inspiration was hiding.
Yeah.
Up her ass.
Yeah.
A pasta. Or pasta. There you
Up,
go.
up her
Up
ass.
her ass.
Oh.
That's what Will said.
I'm such a fat bitch. I'm just like, yeah, pasta. You're like, no, anal. So the date, I'm so close to being at the end. That's what she said. The date they go on is at the zoo.
Mm-hmm.
He actually knows some of the zookeepers there, and so they get to feed a giraffe.
Cool.
And he asks her to spend the whole weekend with him. That night, they're on the roof. They talk about their families more. Tansy and Cassie end up meeting up the next day. The editors love the book, and they're building a huge campaign around it.
Oh, wow.
Liam and Cassie tell each other finally that they want to be exclusive.
Woo!
And Cassie
Wow.
keeps trying to tell him about her family, and again, it does not happen. But what does happen is finally sex on the bar, number 7, which I call
Finally.
dessert on the bar. Because
Honestly, yeah. If you
Oh, yeah.
have a smut
Gotta-
story set in a bar, like
yeah.
it's gonna.
and this has been like
gotta
from the
be.
moment she walked in, she was like, "This is the kind of bar that you'd want to be bent over."
Yeah.
Okay.
A classic bar.
So
But do we know how Finn's doing on his bet at this point?
apparently, he's still going strong.
We never.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we know that.
We just get the occasional Finn popping and be
Yeah,
like,
he walks by in the background.
I'm
So-
not having sex.
So after sex in the bar, they go
Still
upstairs, they go to
celibate.
bed. And Cassie is working, the next day she's working in the pub. Cassie's mom calls her, and while she's on the phone, Cassie's mom falls. Cassie freaks out, runs out of the bar, asking Liam to bring her laptop upstairs for her because she's working in her booth. And she runs across the street to the Rustic Pig, and her mom knows. She like fell. It's like a real fall, but she knows that. She's like, I know you've been seeing one of the boys over there. And
she looked out the window.
She looked out
She
that
said,
window.
I have the upper hand in this moment, and I'm going to use it to confront you with what I know.
Yeah.
And Cassie's like, listen, I'm not going to tell you who it is. It's still very new, and that's it. And she is very like assertive, and her mom's like, got it.
Okay.
So I was like, all right, that's nice.
Didn't expect that.
Cut to Liam is bringing Cassie's laptop up to the bar or up to the room, and he like glances at it and sees that it is an exact copy of their time together the night before. And he gets mad thinking that she's just using him for sex, which is what she said in the beginning.
Yeah.
But also, it's a word for word of what they both said to each other.
Oh yeah,
It's
that's
all
creepy.
that.
That's
also,
creepy.
at this point, they've become exclusive, right?
They like just talked about it. So, but she
Okay.
has been writing this since they've been together.
Is she using? Is she changing names, or is it like fully
yes.
his name? Okay,
Names are changed, but
that doesn't make it a whole lot better.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
So
it's a little creepy that it's word for word, but I mean, like, also, like, part of that is like if she told you what she was doing, if like that level of specificity was a boundary you needed, like you gotta communicate that.
Yeah.
You gotta be like, hey, just nothing verbatim, all right?
Yeah.
right, yeah, change names,
and
don't do quotes, direct quotes.
So Cassie is walking back up
This is a
to
description of my penis.
Cassie's walking back up. That's my mole. Walking back up to the apartment, and she hears Finn and Liam in the apartment, and she hears Finn saying, "Well, I guess you won the bet. Like you've slept with her. You actually stayed with her this entire month." Blah blah. That's when Cassie walks in and is like, "Oh, I'm glad that I could help you win." Da da da. And Finn's like, "I'm out of here." And they end up confronting each other. And Liam is really pissed because he's like, "You've literally like it's word for word what we've said.
Right.
Like you didn't mean anything you said, and I actually meant what I said." Da da da. Cassie says it's just notes. She doesn't write it verbatim. What they're doing. She just she writes it down so it's fresh in her head, and then she takes inspiration from it. Mhm.
Okay.
All right, that's fair.
And then she says she tried to tell him about her parents because he saw her run to the other bar, and they end up being like, "Well, fuck." She's like, "Fuck you." She grabs all her shit, leaves. She goes home and sobs with Tansy, Arkansas, while drinking whiskey. And she realizes she loves Liam, and Liam gets fucked up at the bar, and Finn and him almost get into a fist fight, and Liam realizes he loves her, and that's where I'm gonna end it.
Nice.
Oh, what
Nice.
a cliffhanger!
Ooh.
Is there more sex? Is there?
I
yes.
thought there was gonna be a like hate sex, like angry sex there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, guys,
Just because
seven.
they
They
were
covered
having
a
sex
lot
at a
of
drop
ground.
of a hat.
Yeah, a lot.
That was Bet Me to Stay.
Okay,
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. What bar/place would you want to bang?
it's gonna be very Chicago specific.
I know,
though.
that's why. So just take this,
okay.
listeners. If you don't live here, that's fine. But you know what? If you ever visit, maybe you can
Now
visit
you'll
these
know.
places. I
Well,
have.
the problem is
place.
NCL is closed.
You can still go to the roof, man. It's
I
just it's a
know.
kindergarten
I
now.
know. It is a kindergarten now. I can't in good conscience pull from
Yeah.
that past.
Also, then the roof of a kindergarten is not.
It's not as
somewhere-
sexy.
pretty bad.
It's not
It's
as
pretty bad.
sexy. Just
whole
because
part,
there's
but-
so much history. Trader Todd's, the back,
Yeah,
like the back
okay,
patio
yeah,
area
yeah.
with the boat.
That's
somewhere
not
in
bad.
there, like on a slow night where probably no one's going back there. Find a bench or something. That would probably be it. But that's also because I've had a lot of memories there, and I'm like, this would be a comfortable place.
Ooh, okay. If we're going that route, I would go Victor Bar, one of the bathrooms.
Okay.
Because the bathrooms at Victor Bar are gorgeous. It is a small cocktail lounge. It's like one long room. It's very cozy, but it's a one-person bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
And I wouldn't feel gross doing it in there.
Okay.
And it's a very, like, I'd get drunk in a heartbeat there.
Yeah.
Nice. I feel like it's a little bit different reasoning, but the end of one of the like piers,
Okay. Like in
on-
the water?
not in the water, like up like on like the storm wall on a windy night. You know what I mean? Just
man.
like not like it looked like the edge of danger, like not stormy enough that like you're gonna get ripped out.
Right,
so
right.
Like, the tides are gonna take
Go out
you.
to sea.
But enough that like the sea spray, like you get
like
a few times. It's it's a whole production of you feel the wind, the power of the waves. I think that one's for me.
I love that.
Okay, that's a pretty good one.
That's really good.
That or like I used to live at a high rise downtown, and there was a way to get up the fire escape and up onto like the roof of this skyscraper
okay.
that was like right across Michigan Avenue from like the Bean and
wow.
Millennium Park.
But yeah, that's a really good one.
Yeah,
that's a
just
really
like
good one.
on top of the building, looking over the park. And
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
I win.
Yeah,
King of the world.
I could see wanting like on a roof. I could do like a rooftop thing.
Yeah, a roof generally, I think. I don't have a specific roof, but yeah.
I hope you liked it. That was bet on me to stay.
That was great.
Thank you.
Are you ready for
Are you
a
ready for
very
this?
So
different
ready.
direction?
Oh, yes.
Very different direction.
I'm nervous.
Well, because I read 3. I started with like 5 or 6. I narrowed it down to 3. Read 2 of them, and ended up with this one. The reason I picked it is because it is an OG fandom of mine, and it is a very different thing than the typical rom-com thing.
Okay.
But a bet and wager is central
Okay.
to the plot and to the canon of this fandom.
Okay, I'm excited. I do think it is brave for me to come in and be like, the thing I'm really excited about this is the rom-com-y bullshit of it.
Yep.
And be like,
There were a couple that I could have
Hard left
picked.
turn.
Yep, hard left turn.
We do our own thing.
Yup.
I respect it.
Thank you.
Ooh, what is central?
Well,
to the
and I
canon?
think because I was going through, I looked through the tag, and there were two variations. There was like sex bet, like what you covered, which was very rom-com-y, very like you won't last a month without blah blah blah,
Right.
or like a true bet, like an enemies to lovers, stakes involved getting together type adventure wager. And I went with that kind.
Mine was a true bet too.
Yeah, no, I know, but you know what I mean. Like not a sex bet,
Yes.
kind of. So there are
more a plot bet
more
than
a plot
a
bet,
yes.
but also this one is also a sex bet. We'll get into it. So there are about 6,000 works under bets and wagers. 2,500 of them are explicit. The most popular pairings are Draco Malfoy and Harry Potter, Sherlock, Sherlock Holmes, and John Watson,
Of course.
and then Castiel and Dean from Supernatural. The most like the tags of note that I saw were like teasing, established relationship, and PWP, which stands for yes. No, PWP stands for porn without plot, or plot what plot.
Yes.
So a lot of the fics were like one-shot vehicles for sexy times and not anything with any plot.
Into it.
So this is a fic that comes from the 1986 classic Labyrinth.
Oh my god. I just inhaled so much.
An OG fanfic fandom of mine.
You know that I'm a huge Labyrinth fan, right?
do
Okay, I
know
just
that.
want to make sure.
Will, do you know the movie Labyrinth?
Of
You
course
look
I
so
know
excited.
it. Her baby brother gets stolen. There's
Yep.
Dance
Yeah.
Magic Dance. He
Yep.
does the
You
contact
remind me of the
juggling.
babe.
There's David Bowie's leggings.
There's David Bowie's crotch.
Now, have I seen the movie?
Baby girl. Oh my god, we're all gonna watch it together.
Let's watch Labyrinth after
yes,
this.
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
You.
so I used to read a lot of Labyrinth fanfiction.
Of course you did.
But it was mainly on LiveJournal, R.I.P.
Sarah.
And what happened to Live Journal?
If you ever need me to
LiveJournal-
say Sarah's name, let me know.
I
Okay.
think LiveJournal stopped being a thing a couple of years ago. It's just one of those like early internet sites that just like went away, and a lot of fics and a lot of fandom stuff were on LiveJournal. So a lot of people ended up transferring their shit to AO3.
Do we lose a lot in the transfer?
Yes. There's some weird shit that just never got transferred,
We
and it
lost
makes
a
me
lot
sad.
that day.
Makes me very
Okay.
sad. So on AO3 specifically, there are 3,500 fics. About 1,000 of them are mature or explicit. Obviously, all of them are Sarah and Jareth. So Sarah and the
As
Goblin
they should
King.
be. That's the only
That's the only one.
acceptable pairing.
Tags of note are romance, smut, magic, and fantasy.
So excited.
In my experience, most are one-shots, where, like, after Sarah escapes the labyrinth, he keeps visiting her, and they bang it out or whatever.
Send those to me.
Yeah. But this one is long. This one's 15 chapters.
Wow.
Many words, 42,698 hits. It was published in February of 2015. And tags are sexual fantasy, dreams, bets and wagers, Jareth and Sarah. Can we get some... I need a brief plot summary, and I need a summary of these two characters and their relationship.
Yeah, so one of them is David Bowie. Emily?
Yeah. So Sarah is annoyed with her little brother Toby, who's a baby. She is reading from a play called The Labyrinth, and she's been rehearsing it. And she makes a pledge. She wishes the Goblin King would take Toby away. It turns out it's all real. Jareth comes. He is the Goblin King. He takes Toby away, and he's like, "You have 24 hours, Sarah,
To make it through
the labyrinth." And along the way, she makes and it is a Muppet puppet movie as well. So they are the
It's Jim Henson, right?
Jareth, Sarah, and the baby are the only people in the movie. Everything else is a puppet.
Yep.
She meets Hoggle along the way.
And the whole thing is she needs to get through the labyrinth and get to his castle.
Yes.
And if she does that within the time limit, she will
wins.
save her brother.
Yeah,
she wins.
And if not, the baby will turn into a goblin.
Yes.
Sarah is like a 16-year-old. It's played by Jennifer
Conley?
Yes, Jennifer Conley.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Jareth is played by David Bowie. Very famously, there's a song called Dance Magic Dance. My favorite line is when he goes...
songs, but that's the most famous.
My favorite line is when he goes, "Turn back, Sarah. Turn back." It's so good.
Because this is also you remind me of the power of voodoo. Hoodoo?
Yes.
Yes. So in the movie, she, spoilers, makes it through the maze. She
Shit!
through the labyrinth. She saves her brother from like this. The last thing is like this very Escher-esque
stairwell. Yeah, she defeats the
Yeah.
Goblin King. He has no power over her. Is the
Yeah,
big
the whole
deal.
line is like, "You have no power over me," and his line is, "Just fear me, love me, do as I say, and I will be your slave," is what he says to her while he's trying to convince her to stay. So like the way that it is, because Will, you haven't seen it,
Right?
it's her girl crush on this character that she's been reading about, and it's very that. Like, there's a whole ballroom scene where she's in a beautiful dress and they're dancing together, and it's David Bowie, so he's just inherently a very hot
that,
man.
Like, dangerous,
Yes.
like
He
older
says-
man.
Yes, and she's like tempted because he's her like fantasy like early crush, and
She's going
she's
through
like
a sexual awakening.
very much so, and she's like, "You have no power over me," and she decides to save her brother instead. So this fic is that. It is a lyric fic, which is a common thing you'll see in fan fiction, where the author is basically using, they'll use like an album or a soundtrack as inspiration. So each chapter will be the song title, and then they'll pull lyrics as like the intro to the chapter.
Sick, yeah.
This one is based on The Devil's Carnival, which is a 2012 musical horror film by the same people that did Repo the Genetic Opera.
I was going to say, I think I know that
God.
movie.
Yes.
I think we're watching that movie.
Yes. So
Wow.
that is where all of the chapter titles come from for this fic.
Amazing.
So if you need a time,
man.
if you need a period of time in which this was written, and a mode in which this was written,
absolutely.
here we fucking
That
are.
really does it for me.
Anywho. Okay.
Keeping that in.
No, you absolutely should. So, we open. Sarah is in the middle of a sex dream in which she is kneeling, and Jareth is telling her to use her right words, which is a phrase that comes from the movie. He tells her to use her right words in order to escape from him and tell him what she wants. And she says to fuck her, to which he smiles and says, "Gladly." And then she wakes up. We learned...
Yes.
Okay.
So we learned that
Gotta leave 'em one and one.
ever since she left the labyrinth, she's been having dreams of Jareth and of her friends, and like every night she dreams of the labyrinth. And it happens so often that she's like, why is this happening? And she goes to the library because she's a good kid, and she looks up things about like fae legends, and she ate a peach during the movie while she was in that realm. So she's like, oh, I must be still tied to it in some way, and that's why I'm having these dreams.
We've got a Persephone Hades pomegranate seeds thing going on.
Yep.
Master, how do I get free? How do I stop dreaming of this place?
Let me tell you, love.
Oh God.
We're bringing the Irish back in.
But like it's important to say that when she first escapes the lab and she's like 16, so the first year of dreams are very much like she gets visits from her friends and she gets to say hi to them and she goes on more adventures with them. But then as she gets older, things start to take a darker turn, and the Goblin King Jareth starts showing up more and more.
Question. Do we know how old Jareth is supposed to be?
He is an immortal,
Okay.
timeless,
But, like,
otherworldly fae.
But it's very obvious in the movie that Jennifer Connelly is like a 16-year-old.
Yes.
And he is like 30.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I just want to put that out there.
And I really do think, because I've read a lot of fanfic and I love this movie, that was part of the point of the movie, is that it is a teenage girl's fantasy.
Yes.
And so they
I see
did
that.
very much play that up.
Yeah. But I think that's important when you say as she gets older.
As she gets older.
Right. Well, and that's a big part of his character trope too, is the lechery of the old man.
Yeah, like all of that.
Yeah,
Like,
he's dressed in such a way that he's not exactly like old, but he's not
no,
like
he's David Bowie.
he's David.
Yeah.
He's
He's
David Bowie.
David Bowie. But they get darker, they get more frequent, but it's never like full on sex, but it's like teasing. And she starts to kind of like, she's having these all the time. She wakes up like about to come, and she starts to be like, this is affecting my life.
Fucking getting edged by the Goblin King.
Yes,
What the fuck?
she is every single night, and
My
she's
memoir
like,
title.
she's like 20 now, and she's trying to go on dates, and she's like, none of this is as good. In real life, she's like kissed one or two people, but
Sure.
every time she's like, this isn't as satisfying or interesting as what happens when I go to sleep.
Turn back, Sarah.
And her other thing is, she's like, well, this feels real. This must be real because I ate that peach. Like, he's telling me that he's visiting me in my dreams. I've been very happily participating in these dreams for many years. Doesn't he understand that I am interested? That like if something else was going to happen, wouldn't it
Right.
have happened already?
Yeah.
Like, does a girl gotta spell it out?
Right. Yeah. And so on her 21st birthday, usually the dreams are more intense on her like birthdays or on big days for her. And on her 21st birthday, she's like, you know what? Fuck it. I don't want to participate in this anymore. I'm going to get super drunk and just not go to bed. Fuck you. And so she gets...
That works.
Yep.
Everyone knows how much alcohol makes you
Keeps
stay
you
awake.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Great plan,
Yeah.
Sarah.
She knows all about the alcohol. So she gets home very late, very drunk. She walks into her room. She's immediately hit with this like deep urge to go to sleep. And she goes, this is him fucking with me. He wants me to go to sleep. And she gets mad and she goes out onto her balcony and she says, I wish, and then starts giggling to herself, which is how it starts in the movie.
Right.
And then she thinks she sees a white owl in the tree,
Which is
across from
also
her,
in the movie.
which is his form. But then she blinks and it's a white plastic bag, and she's like she's super tipsy, and she goes, haha, and salutes it, and then goes back inside.
Something is happening right now.
Will,
Are you
what
okay?
are you doing?
When you said she walks in the room and is immediately hit, my head just automatically went like filled it in with the pillow. So I was just imagining like David Bowie.
Beaten with a pillow.
Play with
I
me,
heard-
Sarah. Pillow fight with
Oh
me.
God, I kind of wish that had happened.
That would have been a very different story.
Oh, sorry, just a little intrusive visual that I got,
fine, I
and
get
it
that.
really
Intrusive
tickled me.
It happens to me all the time.
Okay. So she sees the plastic
She
bag.
sees the plastic bag. She's like, oh my God, I'm way too drunk. But she says she's like just fully enjoying herself now. And she says a variation of what she says in the movie, but she says, Goblin King, it has been 6 years. Get off your ass and come to me. I, Sarah Williams, champion of your labyrinth, savior of all children, kicker of goblin ass, and apparently eternal Vestal Virgin Princess, demands that you come here, you poofy-haired fuck.
Call him out.
Yes.
And then she's still laughing. She realizes it's too difficult to take off her shoes, and she falls into bed and falls asleep.
Uh-oh.
She wakes up to a very loud brother. She has breakfast. She goes through her day. But she didn't have any dreams. She's super hungover. She didn't have any dreams. She's a little proud of herself. But then, that evening, at exactly midnight, guess who walks through the door up to the
Toby.
balcony from her bedroom? And it is Jareth, and he is smiling ear to ear. And he's like, well, you know, I can't come until I'm called. This is the rules. Not I cannot show up physically in a mortal residence unless you ask for me. So that's why I never did, but you did it now. And he's like, I tried to come last night, but you were fully asleep. And so I left and decided to try again.
Respect.
Yep.
Yeah.
Respect that. And he asks her why she called for him, and she's like, is it, and she's like, fuck you, I want answers. Is it the peach I ate that is making these tormenting dreams come to me? And he says, you're not, she's like, is that what trapped me having to deal with you? And he was like, you're not trapped. It just keeps the connection open between you and my world. I can't help what you're dreaming about and the fact that you're thinking of me, and I just do you a favor and show up when called.
Oh my God, what a sassy bitch.
And he's very frustrated because he's like, we want the same thing.
Yeah.
We have been doing this for 3 years, and she's...
I'm not the one dancing around the
right.
subject here.
Yeah, and she's fighting him, and she's like, well, you've trapped me with this thing, and I keep having these dreams, and it's fucking up my life. And he goes, well, if you want out, I have an idea. I bet that you can't run the labyrinth again and beat it. Because it's darker now. It changes form based on who's in it. You are an adult. It will be scarier. And I bet you can't beat it. And if you do beat it, I will remove the peach. I will remove the spell. You're good. If you can't, if you lose, you have to stay with me forever, as originally we wanted to do. And he like kisses her, and she immediately kisses back, and then she's like thinking like, I could get used to this is really nice, and then she's like, no, and she pushes him away. And their agreement is she has 13 hours to run the labyrinth.
Oh, that's what the time was before. Not 24 hours, 13 hours. Sorry, yeah.
He will
Much spookier.
He will let no physical harm come to her.
Sexy.
He cannot trick her mind or her body. No trickery.
Okay.
No shenanigans.
Ah.
He will help her no more than 3 times. Third strike, you're out.
Dang,
If
so
he-
after that she's got to masturbate?
Yeah, basically.
Forever.
If he does help her, she will have to think of a way to pay him back for his kindness. If she wins, he removes the spell. She's free of the dreams and can just move on with her life. If she loses, she has to finally surrender to him and live in his realm. And she thinks to herself, like, yes, it is my most dark and guilty fantasy that sounds kind of nice, but I have a family and a life, and that's
sure,
crazy.
yeah, absolutely,
That's
yeah.
insane.
You could go home and visit.
I can't do that.
Study abroad.
So she just she thinks about this. She looks in the eyes. She says, yes. And he says, delightful. And then quick as a flash, they're in front of the entrance to the labyrinth. Okay. And she's like, oh yeah, I know this place. I've been here before. She is still in her nightgown. She is wearing no shoes.
Yeah.
He is, quote, practically purring when he says, remember, you have 13 hours. I'm sure this will be very interesting for us both. And he leaves. He like flashes away. I kept calling it winnowing, which is an Avatar thing, but that's the best thing I can think of. Teleporting. And she's like, you motherfucker, I don't even have any shoes. And a shoebox appears.
Oh no. Which is him helping her,
Which is
right?
him helping
There's
her.
one.
There's one. But it's like these ankle boots, and she puts them on. She's like,
Cute.
Fine. So after hours of walking through this labyrinth, she's like, this is so fucking... She's angry. And she's like, you know what? I need to get a better view. So she scales the wall of one of the the labyrinth to try to see, and she's like, oh shit, okay, there's the castle, now I know where I need to go. And she goes to jump down, and instead of landing where she climbed up, she lands outside of the labyrinth.
Oh my god, because that's cheating.
And he's standing there with his arms crossed. He's like, Sarah, this just won't do. You know not to cheat. I won't stand for cheating in my labyrinth.
You've been a very naughty girl.
You've been a very naughty girl, Sarah.
And he says, well, at least
Killing it. I'm killing
at
it.
least I got a
You sound
really
like Bob Dylan.
Yeah,
It's
you
what
do.
he sounds like.
A little bit.
It
A little
is-
bit.
Sarah.
Sarah.
You go through the labyrinth, Sarah.
But he
You gotta
does
see the movie.
he does say that when she was climbing, he got a very good view. So like maybe she should try it again. And so she's like, fine. And then we get an entire chapter of his POV, and it's just him watching her do this and being like, she's doing a really good job. I'm really proud of her. Also, she's really beautiful and strong and cool. And the last line of the chapter is, he watched her run and smiled. So we're getting like that he's turned on by her stubbornness and likes that she's trying.
Got it.
She comes to a very familiar 2 doors.
With
And
the
she has to-
knockers,
with the
yeah.
knockers, and she has to make a choice. But the 2 people that are there usually to try to trick her into choosing the wrong door are no longer there. It's just 2 doors.
Oh.
And there's like a shield next to the doors that has been like split in half. And there's clearly been like a fight there. And this just continues to cement her understanding that like this is a much scarier labyrinth than the first time she ran it. And that was part of his chapter 2, is like she made her way through this bog that had a creature in it, and it was him like on the edge of his seat like, I don't know how she's gonna do this, but I really hope she does, because I don't want her to die, but this is our bet. We gotta stick to the terms of the bet.
This is where the rubber meets the road.
Yeah, exactly. And so she's like, well, I know what happened to when I picked that door when I was here last, so I'm gonna pick the other door. And it opens onto a path, and she's like, oh great, okay. And she starts walking down the path, and then she starts walking faster and faster because the path is sloping down faster and faster. And all of a sudden she's running, she can't stop her momentum, and she starts falling. And
let this be a lesson, everyone. A great pair of knockers is always a slippery slope.
yeah, don't even engage. Don't engage with the knockers.
I'm not going to engage with that comment.
And so she's falling in the dark. She tries to catch herself. She like scrapes her hand on the wall, and she finally lands. And she thinks that it is the helping hands, which is a reference to the first movie, where she kind of lands, and it's all of these hands on the side of this tunnel.
You can go up or down.
Catch her, and she can go up or down. But it's pitch black, and she's thinking this is probably what it is. But she's like, these things are like touching me, like I'm being like groped, kind of. This is weird. I don't. And then she hears a hiss. Ooh. And she realizes that it is snakes.
Wait, it's not hands, it's snakes?
It's not hands. She has been caught in a pit of snakes.
Oh, I'm actually really upset by this. Oh, God.
And they're
I thought
like
it was gonna
slithering
be like,
all around
my God.
her.
No,
I thought it was going to become like tentacle porn. You were like, yeah, they're like groping her.
I kind of
was
did too.
Yeah,
oh my.
yeah.
It starts like that, where she's like, oh, this is kind of nice, but then she feels like a slither across her stomach. She's like, this isn't hands. This isn't what hands feel like.
For the people at home, I am literally like my shoulders are up to my ears. Like
Emily has puckered.
I have puckered.
Emily is clenched down.
I'm trying.
And so she yells, "Put me down!" And they let her go. But now she's falling, and she's falling for what feels like forever. It's not stopping, and she's falling and and then suddenly she lands on Jareth's lap in his throne room, on his throne. And and she's like, she looks very smug, and he's like, seemed like you need a little bit of help. And she was like, look at my finger, I cut my finger, you said that no harm would come to me, this is against the terms of our deal. And he goes, I was more focused on saving you from the literal bottomless pit that you were falling in for eternity if I didn't do something. And that kind of knocks her down a peg. And he goes, but we can't have our sweet girl in pain, you poor, poor thing. And he puts her finger in his mouth and sucks on it. And she is shocked and super turned on.
Jared.
And he licks her finger, and then when he stops helping her finger, she kisses him, and I call this one grinding it out on the throne.
I'm so proud of
Where-
you. You're finally naming the scenes.
It only happens when I really feel the inspiration.
Oh, I love you so much.
But
You're
she grinds
queen.
up on him, and while he pulls her hair and kisses her neck. It's great.
Into
But
it.
no penetration. Just
No
grinding.
penetration.
It's a dry hump,
Just
if you will.
just a dry hump and a make out.
They are building that tension.
in a throne room. In a throne room.
Honestly, hot. I mean, yeah.
Very
it's
hot.
Very
It's-
hot. Very
yeah,
hot.
It doesn't need to be more.
He's got some payback in mind with this whole.
Oh,
bet.
for sure.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
he's going to get her right where he wants her and then be like, okay, back to the labyrinth with you.
You're in a bottomless pit.
Turn back, Sarah. No, turn over.
Can't do it now because
I
you said
know.
I sound like Bob Dylan.
So
Sorry.
they finish making out, and he like pulls away, and she's got like foggy post-sex things brain, and he says, "Thank you for your payment for my help." And he says, "Because surely you didn't want to kiss me. Surely you're not invested at all in our relationship.
Right,
you're
right.
not interested in me at all, clearly. And that was just to pay me back for my help."
Right.
Right?
And of course, now you don't want my help.
You
right?
don't want my help, right?
You don't
'Cause
want this to happen.
You don't want any of
again,
this.
'cause-
What a little tease.
I know. And so she gets up to go. She can see everything because he's like splayed in his throne wearing leggings.
Yeah.
And he shrugs and he says, "I'm not ashamed of what I want." And she says, "This is completely unfair. You constantly teased me while you were free to do whatever." And he gets genuinely pissed. And we learn that there's also been no one else for him despite his best efforts. Same as her. And he says that he just wants her for all that she is, and she says he'll never see her bend to him, and that's what she wants, and she knows it. That's what he wants, and she knows it. And he says, "Well, you are a queen, and you should really only bend for your king." So,
Bam.
and she she says, "Do I get time added to make up for your flirting?" And he says, "Oh, so the flirting is working?" And she rolls her eyes and says, "You're impossible." And then he kisses her and like kind of shoves her, and she is in the labyrinth again.
Nice.
She walks a little while more, and she comes to a stream, and she has no choice but to wade through it. And soon after that, she's like hit with this very deep like hunger, like for food, like she's starving. And she's like, "Well, okay, I don't know what this, I've been walking for a really long time, like I'm just hungry." And then she keeps walking, she's hit with like deep thirst, and then she keeps walking, and then she's hit with deep horniness and arousal. And she starts to hear Jareth's voice, like saying things that he had said to her in their dreams together, like saying like dirty things. And she's frenzied now and like kind of going crazy. And she's like, "Well, I have to find him. He'll help. He'll make it better." And she starts running while she's getting kind of tormented by him saying these very sexy things to her. And
Right.
and in the background, she hears her name being yelled, but she doesn't pay attention to that because she's so consumed. And all of a sudden, an arm grabs her just as she's about to jump off of the cliff.
Oh, shit.
She like runs out of the woods and is right there, and someone goes, "No," and pulls her back. And it's him. And she's like immediately trying to kiss him and take off his pants. And she's like, "This needs to be solved, and this is how I know to solve it." And he holds her at arm's length and like kneels down. She's like, "Great." And then he starts taking off her boots, and she's like, "No." And then she feels magic pulling something from her, and suddenly she feels so much better. But he's breathing very hard, and he explains that it was a stream of eternal curse of your worst fear, and hers was to be cursed with eternal longing and want to never be satisfied. And he pulled that out of her, and it was because her boots were wet, so she was still experiencing the water from the stream.
Got it.
And he is shaking because he's taken the curse out of her and put it into himself.
Oh.
And so he's like clearly in distress, and he's like, "Well, what are you going to do to pay me back?" And she kisses him, and he like is very breathless, and she's like, "Well," and she goes, "I will give you 10 minutes to do whatever you'd like, with the exception of taking my virginity, free reign." And he says, "Agreed." And then all of a sudden they are in his bedroom. And he does the thing which I love And I recommend this to anybody who wants to get a little kinky in the bedroom. You do not have to tie people up and deal with circulation issues. All you need to do is give them something to hold on to and tell them
If they let go,
it's over. So he gives her like a rope above her head and he says, you have to hold on to this. As soon as you if you don't want this to happen, if you're done, or if you forget and you let go, this is done. This is over. And he just starts walking all around her and touching her and telling her the things that he could do. He's like, I know this is not for everyone, but it's kind of the like condescending dirty talk of like,
sure.
Oh, you poor sweet thing.
Okay.
You thought that you were keeping me at bay by telling me I couldn't take your virginity. There are so many other things. There are so many other things that I could do. Let me list them for
like
you.
That's like 8th on my list of like depraved dreams.
Yeah.
All right.
He says like, I'll wait to satisfy my own desires, but you're just too greedy and impatient, aren't you?
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, for sure.
And so he uses his scepter that has a glass ball at the end of it and rubs. She like grinds on it.
But
Yeah.
okay.
And then he licks it clean, and then. And then she goes back to the labyrinth.
Got it. Cool.
Great.
He just does the one thing?
He just does the one thing. He just makes her
I
come.
have so many ways. Here's one.
He makes her come. He's like, we only have 10 minutes. You only gave me 10 minutes.
It's not enough
Yeah,
time for
fair
anyone
enough.
else.
You clearly need something. I
Yeah.
don't need anything. Let me use this 10 minutes wisely for you to help you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So she comes to a cliffside. She starts to climb up. Near the top, something that would be my worst nightmare starts to happen. Hands start to come out of like the cliff and grab her to help her up. But while they're helping her, it's like her mom's voice talking about why she's not dating anybody at the moment. Her dad's voice talking about like how he wishes he could walk her down the aisle, but probably that won't happen. Her brother talking about how she never hangs out with him anymore. And and then it is Jareth's voice talking about how she's just a silly little human and she'll never amount to anything, and he's just gonna get bored. She's gonna lose, and she's gonna have to stay here forever, and he's gonna get bored with her and then discard her. And it's just a stupid little bet that he's doing because it'll be fun.
Yeah.
And she's like crying and upset, but still trying to climb. And guess who shows up again?
Hoggle.
Jareth.
Finn from the other story.
Jareth.
Liam.
And he looks pissed, and he helps her up, and then he just like starts hurling fireballs at the cliffside to make everyone shut the fuck up.
Fuck you, hands.
Fuck you, hands.
Hey, go fuck yourself, hands.
And she
Not even when you're torturing do you let her think I would say that
no
about her.
yeah she's like you just helped me for a third time. You just fucked me over. How dare you? And he was like, this has nothing to do with the bet. Is that really what you think of me? Like, is that really what you think is what I'm going to do? And she was like, well, yeah, a little bit. And he goes, how could you possibly think that after, like, I have never asked anything from you. I came when you called. I have never done anything but show up when you asked for me. And like, what, like, and he's mad. And she starts crying, and she's like, I can't pretend anymore that I don't want you, but how can I know if that's ever enough? And what about my family? And what about my mortal life? And he basically just like takes her in his arms and kisses her until she calms down. And he's like, are you okay? And she asks to go somewhere else for a while, and he takes them back to the ballroom from before.
Yeah.
And they just hold each other and quietly dance. And he says her dreams are what brought them closer together. And she says, is that what made you love me? And he said, you had my love as soon as you challenged and beat me the first time. And she says, I don't know when I started to love you.
Oh.
And she says, my friends back then weren't real, were they? I conjured them just to be able to get through the labyrinth. And he nods and says, I never wanted to disappoint you, but yeah, you did what you needed to do to get through.
So you were a crazy bitch just
Yeah.
walking around talking to people.
And so now she's like, okay, so if I lose, because she kind of wants to lose at this point.
Yeah, for sure.
She's like, what about my friends? What about my family? What about my life? And he's like, well, if you lose, you will be immortal. I've waited for many centuries for many things. I don't really care how long it takes, but you will eventually, they will age and you will not. You will eventually have to let go of them, but I'm willing to let you do that. And she goes, okay, I'm not sure. I'm still not sure. Take me back to the labyrinth. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
And he smiles and says, my girl plays till the end.
The my girl comment.
My girl plays till the
all
end. So that's where I'm gonna leave it.
Absolutely.
That's where I'm gonna leave it. Do they ever have penis and vagina sex? Does she end up staying in the labyrinth? Who knows? Left it very opaque.
Yeah.
Ooh, I really liked that.
That one was great.
I can't believe we have never talked about Labyrinth fanfic before.
Well, because the problem is I usually have a rule where I'm not gonna I'm not gonna be too on the nose with my fandom pick.
Yeah, but this was perfect.
Yeah.
Like
when I found this one, I was like, I gotta do it. Like it is a little like bets and wagers are a big part of Labyrinth as a story generally.
Yeah, for
but I was
sure.
like, this is such an OG fandom for me. Like it's such a good fic. I gotta talk about it.
Proud of you.
Thank you. And so my game is
Oh boy.
it is fuck, marry, kill, but it is with phrases that Jareth says to her in the bedroom.
You bitch.
Wow.
How dare
So
you.
Okay.
I'm gonna read you these. You gotta tell me which one you'd fuck, which one you'd marry, which one you'd kill.
All right.
Spiritually, in a
Sure.
spiritual
No,
sense.
absolutely.
No, literally.
So first off, we have, come now, you can do better than that, precious. I said louder.
Okay.
We have, your pleasure will come from me this time, as it always should, always by my own hand, nothing else. And then, you need only ask for what you want. Just ask, and it's yours. I'll give it to you.
I know it. Done. I know what I'm going to do.
Okay,
Okay.
But I want Will to go first.
we'll let Will go first.
I mean, you gotta marry the just ask what you want and I'll give it to you. It's too wholesome for any of the. I don't want to kill it.
No.
Well, and then read the second one for me again.
Your pleasure will come from me this time, as it always should, always by my own hand.
I mean, that's gotta be fucked. Just because. I mean, it's a little possessive, which I like. Man, I was like, oh, maybe give it a kill. But the first one was so like. I don't know. It doesn't do it for me. The I told you, come on, be louder. It's like, dude, if you're doing your job, you should be loud enough. You know what I mean? That's how I'm gonna kill. Yeah, I'm gonna kill. I'm gonna kill louder. I'm gonna fuck my pleasure from my hands, and
You're gonna marry communication.
and then
You're
marry
gonna
communication. Yeah, I'm marry healthy communication. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah. Emily?
I will also marry healthy communication, clearly. But I will reverse what you said. I will fuck louder, and I will kill by my hand because I feel like I have read books. I like a consensual possessiveness, and I have said this on
Sure,
this podcast
yeah.
before. But that I feel like this character could go either way of like a little too possessive for my liking. Like I think in those moments it's like it's a turn on to be like, I'm gonna do this.
And it is always
and I'm like
teasing. Like when I was reading this, it never felt like super creepy or anything.
Okay. I think I'm
Which
still gonna
makes it
go fucking
better.
louder, fuck the louder one, and kill the
Your pleasure will come from me.
from my hand.
Okay. I agree with you. That's what I would do as well. So we will all marry healthy communication.
Yay! No therapy this week. Meow, meow, meow.
Yeah. But
I'm
I
gonna
also
marry possessed.
I like casually condescending dirty talk.
I do too.
I
do
like
too.
and the you can do better than that, precious.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's a fuck for me.
Hondo P.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think. Yeah,
It's okay.
Yeah, different
we
strokes
can
for
have
different
different-
folks.
we can have different
Absolutely.
things.
We can't.
it's-
You have to leave.
But yeah, that was
That's my time.
that was
season wrap on.
what was it called again? The Devil's Carnival.
No, that was the
Carnival of Dreams.
Okay, I was gonna say that's
Carnival
the
of
movie.
That was or the album. That
Carnival
was,
of
Yeah.
Dreams, because I don't know if I actually said it. Carnival of Dreams by Painted Glass.
Thanks, Jess.
Thank you.
Will, do you want to give us a rate? How out of
Some
5
raccoons?
raccoons and trash
Yeah.
cans would you give each of these based off the trope, the bet?
Oh man! All right, this is a tough one. They're
Okay.
both very good. This was a great week.
This
really.
was a very good week.
This was
Yeah.
a very good week.
We done good, kid.
We did great.
I'm gonna have to give it to the Labyrinth by just a hair, just a hair, and it's only because it hits so much of the like drama, like tropey stuff I really wanted. Even though you said it wouldn't, like, I don't know. I also like a very like smarmy, condescending.
Yes.
Like,
Okay.
It wasn't
romance
rom-commy, but it was
wasn't,
definitely yeah.
Like it was corny in all the right ways of
Yeah,
like
I get that.
yeah. And I think the only thing really holding me back from Weirds was that I wanted more of Finn's bet also.
Yeah,
Like,
it wasn't a lot of his side. It was
which
a lot
I
of
get. I mean,
Liam's.
it's hard. What I want is like it to be like very farcical, like a Shakespeare, like Taming of the Shrew type.
Yeah, I
type
get that.
bet where we're seeing both of their bets kind of play off each other
Yeah.
in a weird like, and that's a big ask.
Yeah.
That's to be fair, but I don't know. They were both really good. I love the like in the what was the name of yours again?
Bet me to stay.
Bet me to stay. Yeah, the idea of like fuck the social conventions of like we've only known each other for a couple of weeks, but we know how we feel about each other. I always love that. With
that's a good one.
With characters, because it personally annoys me when it's like, but what would people think? I'm like, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Y'all like each other?
I like each other,
I
having
like that
fun
they
time.
were both like, well, this actually like we both feel this way, but
Yeah.
like let's just see where it
Yeah.
goes. I was like, that's nice.
Yeah.
So out of five raccoons and
I'm
trash
giving it
cans.
four raccoons and trash cans.
And you're giving Carnival's Playground?
Carnival of Dreams.
Carnival of Dreams.
Carnival of Dreams is getting a full 5.
Wow.
I'm gonna give it a full 5.
Cheers, Jess. Oh, my
I
Lanta.
think is that my first full 5?
I think that is.
I
I,
love
think
a
that's
good,
the
like-
first full.
Yeah,
It might be. I don't know. I have to
Might be.
figure it out.
I love a good like the tables turned on
Yeah.
her on him at one point on her. There was a whole like not like this.
About
I'm
that.
sure it
Thank
was
you.
helped by my stellar David Bowie.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I mean that was a given. That makes complete
You can
sense.
go louder, Sarah.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh, boy.
I enjoy this.
I know.
Okay, so was there anything from this week, Will, that made
inspired you?
that made you be like, bing bang boom, yada yada yada? That's next week. This is a lose episode, people. Lose episode.
The condescension that popped out. I hadn't thought of it before, but like that kind of like coying like that they like jumped down in the Jezere of it all. I was like,
Yeah.
That's a good trope.
like a toying with, like maybe even being mean to, like a
yeah, like a little
like
bit
a
of
bully,
a little negging,
Like a bully
like
romance?
a bully romance. maybe?
Honestly, bully secret admirer could. I mean,
Okay.
that's a lot.
Let's try
But
bully
bully.
because Emily is in her
Yeah.
element.
But,
I mean that fits right with the like the
condescension.
the condescension angle.
Oh yeah,
The condensation.
I'll find some of
Yeah,
that.
The drippy glass of it
I'll
all.
find some of that.
Yeah, we can go bully for sure. Let's go bully.
This is such a thing for you.
I'm so excited.
I'm mostly just excited to hear the
See
freak
what
out
she
little.
does.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have so many to pick from
And
that
this is
Jess
a big-
will hate.
This is a big
so
moment
much.
of deviation for the two of us because I feel like we have similar kinks, but I have a hard time with specifically high school bully romances, which is a whole thing that you read
Yes.
a lot of.
Okay, our next
doing bullies.
episode is.
Good choice.
It doesn't have to be high school, just bully in general.
Yeah,
Bully in general.
Okay.
Bully in general.
I'll try not to pick a high school.
You can follow your heart.
I don't want to be weird. Though it's too
Be-
late for that.
Did you just hear
Yeah,
everything I
mean,
said?
Labyrinth is-
But to me, that's not weird. Oh my god, I'm so excited, Will. Thank
I'm
you
excited.
so much for telling
Yeah,
us that.
It's a good one.
Hey, Will.
hey,
What are you reading?
Aaron.
I'm still working my way through the third
Miss-
book of the Stormlight
Stormlight.
Archives,
Nice.
Oathbringer. I'm about 3/5 of the way through.
Okay.
I'm moving a pace. If we had been doing this in 2 weeks since the last episode recording,
You'd be
I
done.
would be right on track to be done like I have been before. But we moved the timetables up, and I
Remind me, how many books? 5 books?
there's 4.
4 books. Okay.
Well, 4 in a novella, but
Yeah.
This is how we feel about novellas.
yeah,
It's fine.
Like great,
It's
cool.
okay.
That's what they did in the ACOTAR series, where there
Yeah.
was like a 3.5 where you just check in on everybody.
Yeah. I skipped the
Right.
Barbarian Ice Planet ones.
Yeah.
And Jess,
Emily, what are you reading?
Well, I'm reading. So I just there's 4 in the series. I've read 3
Okay.
within the past few days. Called the Denver Kings series, and it's a hockey romance.
Oh my God.
And the first one's called "Not Your Pucking Girl." The second one's called In Your Puckin' Dreams.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
And the third one is called Kiss My Pucking Bass, which I don't understand that one. But
Is it fishing?
or bait, BASS, bass.
Yeah.
Base.
Bass.
But there's no
Bass
bass in,
as in fish.
but it's a hockey romance. I think they just were like, let's go for it. We can't say bass.
I need you to let me know when you get to that book.
Yeah.
No,
what-
I finished it already.
There's no
Nothing?
mention of fishing or
No.
music of
They
any
didn't
kind?
go ice fishing and like skate on the ice or
No.
anything?
Right.
No.
Okay.
No, he turns into an MMA fighter. It's a whole thing. Anyways,
Okay.
Love Them by Sheridan Ann. It's so fun. It's a little dark. Oh, they all follow the same thing, and I'm here for it, and I love it. So
Love it.
Okay.
those are the hockey romances I've been reading.
Nice.
Jessica, what are you reading?
What are you reading?
What are you reading? What's in the box?
Just what have you been reading?
Oh my god.
God is good.
I haven't been reading any. I don't have anything that I'm currently in the middle of, but I have been burning through the Shadow and Bone fandom.
Okay.
I have never read the books.
Me neither.
The TV series I was halfway into.
Okay.
But there is so much fan fiction shipping Alina Starkov, who's like our heroine, and
The Ben Barnes.
the Ben Barnes
Yep.
character,
love Ben
the
Barnes.
like shadow darkling wizard guy. And there are so many fics pairing them, and I've done the rare thing, which is I saw the fics and then I went back and watched the TV show.
Oh, wow.
And was like, this is fine. I prefer the
Yeah.
fics. But yeah, they're just really fun. They're usually like one shots, and I've just been burning through I think I got, what I'll usually do is I'll sort them based on most popular, and I got like 3 or 4 pages in of like just every single fic that was most popular, and have been getting through that for the last couple of days. So the ship name is Darklina.
Okay.
And it is everywhere. So if you're interested in some smutty, age gap, come to the dark side type romances, that is a good fandom to find them in. Yeah, but it's fun.
Cool.
Yeah, that's what I'm
right.
reading.
Well, thanks everyone.
Yeah, thanks.
We
for
all
listening.
we had a great night here.
Yeah.
We
this was a
did.
blast.
We'll be back next week with
Bully.
bully episodes. I'm so excited. We'll see you all next week.
I don't know if you're going to be able to contain yourself.
Okay, there's gonna be a lot of shrill voices happening. Okay,
Bye.
bye.
Femmes Reading Filth is hosted, produced, and edited by Emily Barusian and Jessica Mall. Intro music by Tom Lehrer. Outro music by David Reddick. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Femmes Reading Filth. Thank you for listening.
Bye.
Bye.